My name's Elora Kennedy, and I did my project on abortions. My problem statement was created through the use of secondary research that was found that the most abortions occur between the ages of 19 to 29 years of age. There are common sides to the argument of abortions. That's going to be pro-life and pro-choice. By obtaining qualitative research through in-depth interviews, I was able to gain information on perspectives, and through the use of quantitative research, I was able to statistically prove the need of specific advertisement to match the understandings of the abortions, to be able to communicate the reasonings to prevent unplanned pregnancies. My main objectives were to uncover through qualitative research includes men and women between the ages of 19 to 29, their perspectives on abortion, background information, and explanations or reasonings to have an abortion, the consequences of the abortions, and how to advertise to people looking for information on them. In my preliminary research on abortion, I searched for the highest rates dealing with a specific age group. In 2015, the CDC reported that the percentage of women between 20 to 24 was 31.1%, and women between 25 to 29 was at 27.6. That means over half the abortions that were legally reported to the CDC in 2015 were women between 20 to 29 years of age. To better understand their motives behind women between the ages of 19 to 29, one must ask first. The motivations vary depending on which woman you talk to. The three main explanations that I found was it would change their lives, affordability, and relationship issues with a co-parent or being a single mother altogether. The related factors for an abortion that tie into their explanations would be the interference with school and career. Women today are more focused on getting a career set than getting married and having children. This does not mean that they are abstinent, though. Most women are unmarried and unemployed while attending college, which would make them feel unstable to care for a child. Since women are more focused on their careers, there's less room for error and less time for marriage proposals. With my qualitative research methods, I used in-depth interviews. This is a format of open-ended questions that have a benefit to the researcher to have a better understanding of the perspectives of their interviewee, which allows them to be expressed completely. Having these types of questions allows the conversation to go more in depth and allows time for the interviewee to explain why they think or feel the way they do. The responses can vary and change from person to person, which allows a general idea to be uncovered and instead more detailed explanation expressed. My procedures was that I created an in-depth interview guide to ensure that all my objectives of the research got addressed. The three objectives that I made sure to obtain information was how participants learned about abortions, how if they knew why individuals had an abortion, and if they knew the consequences of an abortion. I conducted 3 interviews that lasted about 15 to 20 minutes, which I recorded on video, which I got a consent form for each individual to sign. I looked for people in my targeted age range of 19 to 29. I found 3 individuals that I knew. 2 of them were male, 1 was a female. Chad was a coworker from Rochester area who would be defined as a middle class. Josh is a friend that goes to school at Mankato State and would be considered upper middle class. Krista is a close relative and briefly went to college and since has graduated as a massage therapist. The only screening I did was to ensure their age. With my quantitative research methods, I use an online survey questionnaire. This is going to create a more structured system when asking questions. Because it's more standardized compared to the in-depth interview, the data that's collected can be analyzed differently. The data that is collected can be broader from a given population because it's cheaper and quicker to analyze than qualitative research. Since I live in Rochester, Minnesota, I'm about 6 hours from the main campus at UND, and I'm taking this class online. I had to come up with a new idea to target audiences in a large group and obtain enough data. I chose to use an online survey because they are quick and low cost. I first identified the information that was collected in my first two research, secondary and qualitative stages. I created a 15-question to fit the needs of my research paper. The method of administering this survey was using a posting on my social media page to take the survey and messaging some of my close friends and relatives that were in my target audience group, the 19 to 29. Thinking of the time and cost of performing this type of questionnaire or survey is minimal. The survey took less than 20 minutes per survey. At the beginning of each survey, I also included a consent form. The key concepts that were going to be measured included costs, youthfulness, not readiness, relationship status, and career drive. My participants, I use my social media account to target them that were college students or had just recently graduated. I had a total of 52 participants complete my survey. The average age of my participants was between 22 and 23. I was able to reach more females than males. I had 35 females complete the survey. 23% of my respondents had already had an abortion. 69% of my respondents had a gross annual income less than $30,000. In my findings of qualitative research, my in-depth interviews provided me with unique answers and information regarding the perspectives of the three individuals. Each respondent stated that they learned about abortions in health class in a neutral and informative manner. They also mentioned that one would go to Planned Parenthood to seek out an abortion. The participants thought the highest rate of an abortion was actually younger than what my secondary research found. The three participants in the interviews described themselves as pro-choice. None of the participants currently have children. The three major concepts that play a role in the decision-making process are relationships, costs, career status. Unplanned pregnancies can stress out a relationship, and when Chad stated babies are expensive, I think we all know that. Krista, my female respondent, thought the mental effects of an abortion could be depression or PTSD. The consequences can be from physical, mental, or relationships. The males in the group felt like the relationships could be affected if the male partner wasn't given the option to know or have a say in the decision making. The participants didn't come up with many answers to the physical effects. All three of my participants responded differently when trying to give advice regarding abortions. The female thought you should seek guidance from a medical professional. One of the males thought you should ask yourself, do you want a child? The third thought you should educate yourself before making a rash decision. One of my respondents thought that there should not be any type of form of abortion advertisements. The other two thought the ads wouldn't be directed at them since they were males, and typically females are the ones having an abortion. The best practices to get attention regarding abortion is through the use of women's rights groups online and birth control campaigns for both male and female. My qualitative research was that survey questionnaire online that I had created, gathered information regarding the individual's age, race, income, and more broad ideas to reveal their thoughts on abortions. In specific, focus was to gain information on related reasonings to why one would have an abortion. And if the general public is targeted audience agreed with the reasonings. Some of these concepts included age, readiness, relationship status, career drive, and affordability. Overall, I found that the individuals, when placed into the group analysis, there was a strong connotation that they agreed that all the reasons were valid. This might relate back to the fact that 78.8% of the respondents stated they were pro-choice over the pro-life arguments. This idea for the support and reasonings of women and men to have an abortion might be since 38 out of 52 of my participants knew one or more persons that had already had an abortion. If I had done a more thorough pre-screener, I might have been able to create a new questionnaire to help find more individuals that had not known someone or had had an abortion, or maybe the more pro-lifers that are out there, because only 6 of mine were. I think this may have skewed my results just a little bit. 80% of my respondents agreed that there was financial limitations would be a reason to have an abortion. About 77% agreed that it's because it was unplanned. 73% because they were not ready. 38 out of 52 felt they were too young. Even fewer of my respondents felt that they agreed that unstable relationships had an effect on the reasonings. 39 out of 52 stated that being career-driven could possibly be a reason to have an abortion. Most of my respondents, about almost 79%, felt neutral about the physical consequences of an abortion, which I found also in my qualitative research. The majority did agree that the idea that our mental effects could be a huge effect of having an abortion. A total of 44 of the 52 agreed by rating a 5 or higher on the scale that abortions could cause mental consequences. Over half of the individuals, 65%, agreed that the relationship could affect the abortion. Dealing with communication, 84.6% of the respondents felt that most of the campaigns and advertisements that is promoted to their audience is on the pro-life side, which makes me wonder because most of the individuals that participated were part of the pro-choice side. 92% disagreed with the pro-life advertisement. About 80 to 81% thought the campaign should be more angled towards pro-choice. Overall, I conducted the research of abortion in 3 separate stages while trying to identify the main reasonings for an abortion, how the target audience correctly is targeted between 19 and 29. I started my research with my secondary research, then I moved to in-depth interviews with the qualitative, and finally I ended with quantitative research using the online questionnaire. The key findings that became noticeable was that individuals between 19 and 29 were mostly pro-choicers over the ideas of the pro-life. Most of my individuals felt that the advertisements that are readily available and most common were arguing the wrong thing. Given the fact that the 23% of them had already had an abortion and 73% of the entire group knew someone that had already had one, makes me wonder how to correctly communicate to this group. This target audience agrees completely that they are financially limited, planning is key, readiness or not, age, relationship status, and career drive. The audience that is having abortions at the highest are also making the least amount of money. This could be because of their education level or drive to push themselves. My recommendations that could be made would be trying to learn how to correctly and demonstrate ideas for prevention of pregnancies in the pro choice side of the argument.